4 minutes to 3 o'clock. What are you going to squeeze in at this moment?
Let's very quickly do Tales of the Night, which I'm depressed to say has, as far as I'm concerned, the most annoyingly pointless use of 3D I've seen so far, and proof that the format has become industry standard in a way which is kind of irritating. It's directed by Michel I don't know how you pronounce this, Oslo, who describes himself as, quote, a sorcerer with two powers, that of producing beauty and that of creating characters that do not exist yet, which take us on a journey through different worlds as if on a magic carpet, which is a very bold claim. But one which, if you've seen things like Azure and Asthma, you think, well, actually, that's, it's completely legitimate. He is a very interesting storyteller. He's worked with Bjork. He has a great reputation amongst animators. And in the past has done work which has real fairy tale charm, old-fashioned style and substance, and is working with sort of arcane forms of animation. Here, Tales of the Night, what you have is a series of 6 fairy tales told within a rather clunky framing narrative in which you have a boy and a girl and a director, and they're in a theatre, and they're saying, oh, we could tell this story, how would you do it? You do this, that, and the other, and then curtains open and they tell that story, and then they come back, oh, yes, well, how about this other story? Blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, we keep going to the outside where the lights in a tower block are going off, which is one of those things which it always just sort of tells you you've still got 5 lights to go off before you get to the end, which I think was a problem with the portmanteau sort of film. But the thing that bothered me most about it is it's done in this beautiful visual animation style in which it's silhouettes. So each character you just see is a silhouette with eyes, and they're essentially like, I suppose it resembles old shadow plays. And I've watched films in this form before and really, really like them. Now, this is done in 3D, and what the director says, he says, using 3D filming was a matter of trying a new toy. Paradoxically, this brand new technique takes me back to the kind of images I created when I had no money. I always made little things in relief, cutouts and collages and so on, and then he filmed them. I've shown these little constructions in exhibitions using light boxes, and it's really charming. But people who'd first seen these little light theatres in the flesh sometimes admitted that they were disappointed by the film on a flat screen, and I've noticed this charm is rediscovered with this new version in stereoscopic cinema, to which the answer is no, it isn't. And the irony of it is that you're watching this really beautiful arcane form of animation in which what the 3D is doing is just making the cutout slightly to the front and the background slightly to the back. And you know what? In a way, it ought to be perfect, because one of the great problems with 3D is that it creates what's known as the Viewmaster effect, that everything looks like flat things on opposing planes of flatness. Well, here, with this particular technique, that's exactly what you have.
Sounds like one of those kids' theatre things that you construct out of cardboard at Christmas.
Fine, it's exactly like that, and somehow the idea that when you put that into 3D, it makes it more charming. It doesn't. It was perfectly charming in 2D, and I know because I've seen films done in that technique in which at no point did I think, I really, really love this slightly arcane form of animation, but it's bothering me that I don't have a sense of perspective that cutout is 2 inches ahead of the background. And I literally watched the movie thinking, I'm going to try and forget I'm watching it in 3D, I'm going to try and forget I'm watching it in 3D, I'm going to try and forget. And rather than being lulled into a fairy tale world, I was annoyed into a grumpy old so-and-so world.
Which doesn't take much.
No, it doesn't, but it's, and I just thought, I wish I was watching this 4 years ago before this became industry standard, and basically you couldn't get an animated movie into theatres unless it was in wretched 3D.